Hey everybody, Scarpad here from Scarpad's Comic Treks. And today we're going to do another Blu-ray review for you, this time looking at the Shout Factory Robocop 2 Special Edition. This is a packed special edition full of what you would normally find in a Shout Factory release for special features. But let's talk a little bit about the movie. When Robocop 2 came out back in 1990, I was not really fond of the film. I was a huge fan of the original Robocop. Uh, just because it's a classic, it's got the story that is over the top. It's got the violence. It's got social commentary. It's got the great Paul Verhoeven direction, who directed also like Total Recall, another classic. He was big in the '80s, and of course Peter Weller coming off all his movies that I've loved him in, like Buckaroo Banzai. Nancy Allen had the great Ronnie Cox as the villain. Also, Clarence Boddicker there. The guy, I forget his name, the guy from, from was he in the '70s show, I believe? Very great villains, over the top violence, comedy. It really had it all. It was a great classic film. And when Robocop 2 came out, it had a long development hell cycle. For a couple of years, it went through the original writers, the original creators, and was passed down to other people to handle. And eventually, it came down to be written by Frank Miller, who did The Dark Knight Returns, who wrote comic books, but really didn't have a whole lot of experience in movies at that point. And you can see through this, the various story of this movie, that you could see it was a mishmash of a lot of different ideas. When this first started off, it was going to be RoboCop corporate wars, and it was going to explore more of the background of OCP and and all the hierarchy there and the corruption there, and what was going on in the '90s with the corporations and corporate wars. And some of that does still exist, but then it was going to be a love story between RoboCop and the disembodied female brain of OCP. That got scrapped. Then it was going to be a love story between RoboCop and the Nancy Allen character, and that got scrapped. And then it came upon, when Frank Miller came in, they brought in this whole concept of the nuke drug, and the new villains, Kane and Cobb. Kane being played by Tom Noonan, who is not nearly as good as the Clarence Boddicker character, but he's kind of over the top. He's okay. The whole concept of this drug that's going through the streets was very timely then. Cobb is portrayed pretty well by a young child actor who I don't know the name of at the moment, but that was a big controversy back then, that they had a child doing all these adult things, and ultimately in the end, spoiler, dies, which was pretty brave of the movie back then. But it's such a mishmash of ideas. It takes such a long while to get going. I thought it was cool about an adult side. Starts off pretty well with RoboCop Alex Murphy trailing his wife because he still has these memories implanted within him of his former life. But that really goes nowhere. That's over with quickly, and you never hear from it again. Then there's this long section where you kind of explore a little bit of the background of what's going on at OCP, and that really ultimately doesn't go anywhere. And then we meet a female scientist who's developing the new RoboCop. They try to do RoboCop 2, the new model of him, and they're failing on that. And they eventually come down to using Kane's brain in this new cyborg. And then the end of the movie is the big battle, which is decent for its era, with stop motion animation and some computer effects, early computer effects, to portray the battle. But what I didn't like about this RoboCop is the gratuitous violence and gore. And it's not like the original didn't have that, especially the unrated version. It was pretty gory. We had that scene in the original where the guy gets in a nuclear waste and he splatters. There was plenty of gore in the original RoboCop, but it was in service of the plot in that movie, not being the plot of that movie. The violence and the gore here are a lot more mean-spirited. We get Cobb character, the kid shooting and killing. We get a baseball team made of little leaguers beating the living snot out of a store owner. In fact, kids in this movie are not portrayed very well, which is okay with me, but they're little vicious bastards. And we get some very gratuitous gore in the operating room scene where they're extracting the brain of Kane and getting it ready for the robot, and that's okay. I mean, I'm not faint of heart by no means, but it wasn't in service of the plot. It was to be in there as gore and violence. The characters aren't as colorful, they're aren't as fun. The fun is missing from this movie, it really is. There's a long sequence where they turn Robocop into kind of like a goody two-shoes. I can see what they were going for, but that doesn't really go anywhere. They replaced the great Basil Polidorius. That whole Robocop theme is not in here. And they replaced it with Leonard Rosenman, who did Star Trek 4, I believe. And man, does this score in this sound like Star Trek 4, which came out only about 3 years earlier. But man, there's parts of the Star Trek 4 theme in here that just doesn't fit with Robocop. So all those things together really led to a disappointing movie. Not that there's not bits and pieces in this movie that were good, set pieces, but as a whole, it's a disjointed mess. Probably so much so that ultimately Peter Weller did not return, as in most of the cast, for Robocop 3, which has a lot of it, believe me, is a story within itself. I'm expecting that Blu-ray. I've never even seen the full Robocop 3 film, and we'll review that when I get it. But what the movie lacks, the disc certainly doesn't. I mean, Shout Factory has produced a new 2K scan of this based on a negative, and man, it's the best this movie's ever looked. This is as close to like a 4K looking movie on Blu-ray that I've ever seen. It is the best Robocop 2 has ever looked. They really did a nice job on the video and audio in this movie. And in addition to that, you get new featurettes of the making of Robocop 2. You get some trailers. You're getting some other featurettes, still galleries, some deleted scene galleries. It's a nice rounded disc that can be had for well under $20. And I think it's in a point where this may be going out of print. So if you're interested in this one, grab it up quick. But the movie itself, I haven't changed my opinion on. It was a big step down from Robocop 1. I thought that when I saw it in the theater back in 1990. And today, it doesn't hold up much better, although the effects and everything are better than I thought they were, given that moment in time. So that's Robocop 2 from Shout Factory. If you're a fan, if you're interested, if you're just completist and you want to get the Robocop set of films, I have the original Robocop from Arrow, which is a fantastic package. Shout Factory did a nice job on this Robocop 2 disc. It's worth picking up just to check out. And there's good things in the movie. Just as a whole, it's a little bit disappointing. So that's Robocop 2. I'm Scarpad with another Blu-ray review. Remember to keep trekking, keep reading, and we'll catch you later. Have a good day, everybody.